What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Buzz. Joe Rogan recently shared his thoughts on the current state of the UFC welterweight division, and his reaction highlights just how competitive and unpredictable the landscape has become. According to Rogan, the next title opportunity appears to be narrowing down to Kamaru Usman or rising contender Michael Morales, which says a lot about the depth of talent in the division right now. Despite how stacked the welterweight ranks are, Usman remains very much in the title conversation. Fighters like Carlos Prates are also making serious noise. Many fans and analysts are already calling Prates the breakout fighter of 2025, following two massive knockout victories, including a brutal second-round finish over former champion Leon Edwards at UFC 320. To the same event where Islam Makhachev captured the welterweight title. In recent interviews, Prates made it clear he would welcome a title shot, but he expects the UFC to give Usman the first opportunity against Makhachev. Because of that, Prates has begun looking ahead to potential matchups with Jack Della Maddalena or Michael Morales. ESPN has even spotlighted him in early 2025 awards discussions, particularly after his unforgettable spinning elbow knockout, one of the year's most talked about highlights. Rogan also addressed the ongoing narrative surrounding Usman's knees, something Usman has openly discussed in the past. Many people have counted him out due to concerns about his health, but Rogan pushed back on that idea. He recalled watching Usman dominate his opponent and thinking it looked like the world champion version of Kamaru Usman all over again. Rogan acknowledged the procedures and recovery methods Usman has explored, including treatment abroad, while noting that elite fighters can still perform at the highest level at that stage of their careers. Looking ahead to 2026, Rogan believes the welterweight division is absolutely loaded, with names like Usman, Morales, Prates, Gary, and even the possibility of a major superstar entering the mix for a super fight. The division is set up for massive matchups and unforgettable moments. But before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Michael Bisping recently shared his perspective on the Bantamweight title picture, making it clear that he believes Merab Dvalishvili has done more than enough to earn an immediate title shot. Bisping dismissed the idea that the Georgian contender should be overlooked, pointing to Merab's body of work and consistency at the highest level of competition. However, while acknowledging that Dvalishvili likely deserves a rematch with Petr Yan, Bisping also suggested a more strategic approach. In his view, the UFC should allow the division to breathe momentarily and let Yan face Umar Nurmagomedov first, assuming Umar gets past Deiveson Figueiredo. If that scenario plays out, Yan versus Umar would become a massive fight, both competitively and commercially. Bisping emphasized that Yan and Umar are enormous stars in the Russian region, each with dedicated fan bases and significant momentum. Both fighters also share history with Dvalishvili, which adds another layer of intrigue. Stylistically, the matchup would be a dream scenario for hardcore MMA fans, and aligns perfectly with how the UFC tends to build its biggest fights. The bout would generate global hype, elevate the bantamweight division, and ultimately make the championship even more valuable by the time Dvalishvili steps back into the title picture. Expanding on his thoughts, Bisping explained that while several fighters have defeated Merab in the past, few can match his overall resume. When looking objectively at his achievements, Bisping admitted that a rematch is more than justified. Still, he encouraged Dvalishvili to take a step back, recharge, and allow the division to play out naturally. Bisping praised Merab for everything he has accomplished, noting the physical and mental toll of competing at an elite level. He suggested that Dvalishvili take several months off to rest, recover, and enjoy the rewards of his hard work. According to Bisping, a brief break would allow both the body, mind to reset, ensuring Merab returns stronger and hungrier. In the meantime, Bisping believes the UFC should move forward with Petr Yan versus Umar Nurmagomedov, setting the stage for a blockbuster fight, while keeping Dvalishvili positioned for an even bigger moment when he ultimately challenges for the throne. Move on to another news. Major news has emerged from a highly credible source within the MMA world. The revelation comes from Kamil Gadzhiev, the longtime matchmaker for Khabib Nurmagomedov. Eagle FC Promotion and one of the most respected voices in Russian MMA media. Gadzhiev, who has deep ties to Team Khabib and the Dagestani fight community recently, shared a story that immediately caught the attention of fans and analysts alike. In a recent interview with a Russian media outlet, Gadzhiev revealed that he personally witnessed a grappling sparring session between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Khamzat Chimaev in Dubai. Both fighters frequently train there. Chimaev spends a significant amount of time in the region, while Khabib often oversees camps abroad, alongside fighters affiliated with American Kickboxing Academy. On this particular day, both men happened to be training in the same gym, surrounded by other Dagestani athletes. According to Gadzhiev, the two exchanged greetings and casually agreed to engage in a brief grappling session. What followed surprised nearly everyone in the room. Despite Chimaev's clear size and strength advantage, which allowed him to establish top control early in the exchange, it was Khabib who ultimately came out on top. From the bottom position, the undefeated lightweight legend reportedly locked in a tight triangle choke, forcing Chimaev to submit. The revelation that Khabib retired and giving up size was able to submit the reigning UFC middleweight champion during training quickly sparked widespread discussion. Gadzhiev went on to explain that this moment further reinforced his belief that Islam Makhachev would be capable of defeating Chimaev if the two ever met inside the octagon. In his view, Islam's submission game closely mirrors Khabib's approach, suffocating pressure, elite positional control, and technically precise finishes that differ fundamentally from Chimaev's more explosive grappling style. Gadzhiev concluded that if Khabib could successfully execute a submission in that setting, even under physical disadvantages, then Islam Makhachev would be fully capable of doing the same under the bright lights of a sanctioned UFC fight. The story has since fueled debate about stylistic matchups at the highest level, and further highlighted the enduring dominance of the Dagestani grappling system. Move on to another news. Manel Kape continues to draw attention following his dominant victory over Brandon Royval just 1 week ago. While his performance inside the octagon earned widespread praise, his comments afterward have sparked significant debate among fans and analysts, particularly those directed at flyweight champion Alexander Pantoja. Kape stirred controversy by stating that Pantoja does not deserve an immediate rematch against Joshua Van. This claim upset many fans, especially given that Pantoja's previous bout ended within seconds due to a serious injury. Rather than softening his stance, Kape doubled down, placing full responsibility for the injury on Pantoja himself. According to Kape, the dislocated elbow was the result of poor decision-making and a fundamental technical error during the exchange. From Kape's perspective, the situation was not a case of bad luck but a preventable mistake. He argued that in grappling situations, especially on the ground, extending the arm while attempting to stand is a basic error in jiu-jitsu. In his view, Pantoja rushed the movement instead of rolling through and disengaging safely, which directly led to the injury. Because of that, Kape believes the fight never truly determined the better competitor that night, but the division cannot afford to stall. Realistically, Kape is expected to face Joshua Van for the flyweight title before Pantoja is medically cleared to return. However, the Brazilian champion is still projected to receive an immediate title shot once he fully recovers, setting the stage for a potential rematch after the belt picture settles. That scenario would likely position Kape as a major test for Van before the division revisits unfinished business. As of now, no official return date has been announced for Pantoja. His coach, Marcos D'Amata, recently stated that the former champion is not expected to compete again until May or June of 2026 at the earliest. He emphasized that even under ideal recovery conditions, an earlier comeback would be unrealistic, stressing the importance of complete healing before returning to competition. Despite the controversy, Kape remains focused on the future. He has made it clear that whoever stands in front of him next, whether it's Joshua Van or another top contender, is welcome. For Kape, the flyweight division must move forward, and he believes he is ready for whatever comes next on the road to the title. Move on to another news. Ilia Tapuria is once again facing significant backlash from the MMA community after a new video surfaced online. The footage shows Tapuria spending time with Merab Dvalishvili, appearing relaxed and in good spirits, despite recently announcing a break from competition while dealing with personal matters. As expected, the video quickly sparked debate across social media. Many fans have struggled to reconcile Tapuria's public appearance with his decision to step away from a fight camp, while his personal issues are being handled outside the octagon. Some supporters argue that he does not need to appear visibly distressed or isolated to still be mentally affected by circumstances serious enough to disrupt preparation for a title defense. In the clip, Tapuria does not appear overly joyful, but he is clearly socializing and maintaining normal routines, which has only fueled criticism. The backlash intensified when fans pointed out that Tapuria had cited personal challenges, including his divorce, as a reason for pausing competition, yet continues to be seen training lightly, doing interviews, and living publicly. Several critics accused him of avoiding a high-stakes matchup with Arman Tsarukyan, questioning why he appears active if he is not ready to defend his belt. Comments flooded social media, with some claiming that taking time off should mean fully stepping away, while others mocked the situation and accused him of ducking difficult fights. Not everyone agreed with the criticism. A portion of the fan base defended Tapuria, arguing that mental health and family matters do not follow a visible script. Supporters emphasized that dealing with a divorce and constant media attention can be emotionally draining, even if someone appears functional in public. They stressed that fighters deserve privacy and the freedom to process personal issues without being judged based on short video clips. The discussion escalated further when a fan jokingly commented that both fighters appeared to be looking for a wife, prompting Merdvalishvili to respond with a laughing emoji. The exchange only added fuel to the ongoing debate. As the controversy continues, fans remain divided. Some believe Tapuria is using personal issues as an excuse to delay tough matchups, while others feel the scrutiny is unfair and invasive. Adding to the conversation, Tapuria later shared footage of himself hitting pads looking sharp and explosive, which reignited questions about his readiness to compete. Ultimately, the situation has raised broader questions about expectations placed on fighters during personal hardships and whether public appearances should dictate perceptions of professional commitment. The MMA community continues to debate whether Tapuria is protecting his well-being or avoiding risk, with opinions split on both sides. Move on to another news. Breaking news has emerged involving UFC President Dana White, who is now scheduled to testify in court as part of a new antitrust lawsuit against the UFC. Earlier this year, in May, former UFC fighter Misha Cirkunov filed a fresh legal action targeting specific clauses within UFC fighter contracts, adding another layer to the organization's ongoing legal challenges. Cirkunov's lawsuit focuses on the arbitration and class action waiver provisions included in UFC contracts. These clauses require fighters to resolve disputes through private arbitration rather than in open court, while also preventing them from joining class action lawsuits. The lawsuit seeks financial damages and aims to have these clauses declared invalid, not only for existing contracts but also to eliminate their use in all future UFC agreements. For those unfamiliar, arbitration clauses with class action waivers are common in many industries. They force disputes into private arbitration, allowing companies to avoid public court proceedings, and require individuals to pursue claims on a one-on-one basis. While legal, these provisions are controversial because critics argue they significantly limit the rights of individuals to challenge large organizations collectively. Now, Dana White is set to testify on behalf of the UFC in this case. The development was first reported by journalist John Nash, who revealed that the court has scheduled a spoliation hearing for February 4th and 5th, 2026. According to the court order, White will testify first, followed by UFC executive Tracy Long. A spoliation hearing is a legal proceeding used to address allegations that relevant evidence was destroyed, altered, or not properly preserved during the course of a lawsuit. The party accused of spoliation may face penalties if the court determines that missing evidence has harmed the opposing side's ability to present its case. These penalties, known as sanctions, can range from monetary fine to severe procedural consequences. In some cases, the judge may instruct a jury to assume that the missing evidence would have been unfavorable to the party responsible. Courts may also strike certain defenses entirely, removing them from consideration. In extreme situations, A case can even be dismissed depending on whether the destruction of evidence was intentional or accidental. At this stage, it remains unclear which party is accused of spoliation or what specific evidence is issued. More clarity is expected once the hearing takes place in early February 2026. Until then, the case remains one to watch, as its outcome could have significant implications for how the UFC structures fighter contracts moving forward. Move on to another news. Derrick Lewis recently revealed surprising behind-the-scenes details about a major fight that nearly came together but ultimately fell apart. On a recent episode of his podcast, The Beast and the Cowboy, Lewis shared that the UFC had initially planned a blockbuster matchup between him and longtime Glory kickboxing heavyweight champion Rico Verhoeven for UFC 324. According to Lewis, the fight was proposed as something big, but Verhoeven ultimately declined the opportunity. Verhoeven is widely regarded as one of the most accomplished heavyweight kickboxers in history. Standing at 6'5" and weighing around 265 pounds, he is the longest reigning champion in Glory heavyweight division, having defended his title an incredible 13 consecutive times before vacating it in November. A crossover bout between Verhoeven and Lewis would have been one of the most intriguing heavyweight matchups in recent memory, especially on the opening card of the UFC's new Paramount deal. Lewis also revealed that Verhoeven was not the only high-profile fighter to turn the bout down. Sergey Pavlovich, who previously knocked Lewis out in under a minute back in 2023, was also offered the fight but declined. After multiple options fell through, the UFC finally secured Waldo Cortes Acosta as Lewis's opponent. Recalling the process, Lewis explained that he was repeatedly told by the UFC to be patient and wait for something big to materialize. He said he was assured the matchup would be worth it, only for the initial plans to collapse one by one. First, the proposed fight with the Glory champion fell apart. Then, attempts to book a rematch with Pavlovich also failed. Eventually, Cortes Acosta accepted the fight, and Lewis agreed without hesitation. The situation has sparked speculation about why the Verhoeven fight never happened. Some believe Verhoeven may not have liked the stylistic risk of facing Lewis, while others suggest financial disagreements may have played a role, as the UFC may not have been willing to meet his asking price. Verhoeven has also been rumored to be in talks with the PFL for a potential showdown with Francis Ngannou, raising the possibility that multiple organizations were competing for his signature. Regardless of how the negotiations unfolded, fans were left wondering what could have been. Instead, attention now shifts to UFC 324 on January 24, where Derrick Lewis will face Waldo Cortes Acosta. With both heavyweights known for their power, the matchup promises fireworks. And the question remains, will the Beast get his hand raised, or will Cortes Acosta spoil the night? Fans will soon find out. Move on to another news. Ben Askren recently shared his honest assessment of Khamzat Chimaev's latest performance, and despite the widespread praise surrounding the fight, Askren made it clear he was not entirely impressed. While many fans viewed Chimaev's bout against Regis du Plessis as a dominant showing, Askren believes the performance left something to be desired. Speaking in an interview with Helen Yee at the Real American Freestyle event, Askren explained that, although Chimaev looked strong and controlled the fight, he felt Khamzat was overly cautious. From Askren's perspective, Chimaev relied heavily on his wrestling and top control but failed to take meaningful risks or push for a decisive finish. He acknowledged that Chimaev had no trouble taking du Plessis down and maintaining position, but noted that he did not aggressively pursue damage or attempt to truly break his opponent. That conservative approach, according to Askren, was disappointing given Chimaev's reputation as a relentless finisher. Askren added that while Chimaev clearly looked good overall, the performance did not match the level of dominance fans have come to expect. He also found it strange that Chimaev has once again discussed the possibility of moving up in weight, pointing out that he competed at welterweight not that long ago. In Askren's view, the constant talk of changing divisions raises questions about long-term direction and consistency. During the same interview, Askren also weighed in on the current welterweight title picture, particularly the growing discussion around a potential matchup between Islam Makhachev and Kamaru Usman. Once again, Askren expressed frustration. While he acknowledged Usman's historic reign as champion, he argued that the division has evolved, and that newer contenders deserve priority. Askren emphasized that Usman has suffered multiple losses in recent years and is no longer coming off a narrow defeat that would justify an immediate title opportunity. He pointed out how frequently the welterweight belt has changed hands and argued that younger fighters like Ian Gary and Michael Morales have done enough to earn their shot. According to Askren, favoritism often plays a role in title matchmaking, but he would prefer to see opportunities awarded based on recent performance and momentum rather than name value. Even though Askren admitted he is not personally a fan of every contender, he stressed that earning a title shot should matter more than popularity. In his view, the future of the welterweight division belongs to the rising generation, and the UFC should reflect that when deciding who fights for the belt next.